started. Should have started.
Yo.
Should have started.
Hey, did you get that? Did you get
Yeah. Should have started.
Hey, I'm leaving that in the video, bro. I'm leaving that in. Well, I know. Or I need to send you. Hey, where's my camera? Hey, Pete, yep. Hey, Pete. As soon as we said that, he said put me on game.
Good morning. Welcome back to another edition of Gumball Sports Machine. This show in which we love, we laugh, we hug, we cry. Most importantly, this is a positive show. We're happy we smile on the show, and we're grateful for everything we get to do. This very show. Hope you all are doing well. Hope you all are doing fantastic.
Definitely afternoon. It's okay.
Is that? Oh, this has become uncomfortable already. But of course, as always, I got my co-host, Triple OG Tone. What's the word, man?
Slow money until Christmas. You know how that goes. Between all these holidays, it's just all jumbled up, and then constantly trying to pick up behind whatever you made a mess of like yesterday. Fun times. Yeah. And the little one's pointing out everything he wants to buy. I need that.
You don't want one of those videos where like you touch it, you buy it. No, but you see that video on YouTube?
No.
Oh man,
Hendrix is definitely touching all the toys in the store, so that ain't gonna work.
Hey man, well yeah, it is Christmas time. I wish it was a little bit more jolly, at least for me. It's been rough. At least for the home teams. But for my GOAT boy, it's been pretty good. Chiefs move on to 12-1. Obviously on the doink field goal.
On the doink thing.
Hey, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good.
That's
what I like.
Yeah.
So Tom.
I was like this on a text message. Ooh, 0 for 3 this weekend. I gotta say it.
Gotta delete it. Said, well, good win for the Chiefs. I'm trying to tell you. Listen, the Chiefs don't look nearly as good as they should, but they looked the same way last year in the regular season. They were awful. They went out. They lost to the Raiders, who are obviously they're bad this year, but they lost to the Raiders last year. They were terrible, and they just didn't play very good offensive football last year. They went into the playoffs, they flipped the switch, and obviously they won the Super Bowl. So that's why I will not, at least not yet, I'm not betting against the Chiefs. And I probably won't bet against the Chiefs the entire year until they actually lose. But again, like I said, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, and that's what they were on. They were up 13-0. They were up 13-0. Patrick Mahomes in 2018, 2019 puts that game away. For whatever reason, he hasn't been himself this year. And so, again, Patrick Mahomes in the past puts that game away. This year, that's a game that he keeps the Chargers in. And that's the frustrating part. He kept them in that game. They came back, took the lead, and led the game at the end. But when you have a 13-0 lead at halftime, that's a game that's put away.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. Even watching Kelsey not doing, basically being who he's been all year, but that big catch, to move the chains. I was like, man, timing is everything for this team. They play excuse my language, but they play like ass for 2.5 quarters. And then, like you said, they hit a switch and was able to pretty much march down the field and to get that field goal.
Yeah, and like you said, it's moments, it's opportunities. That this year they haven't been. They're not the team that's going to go average 30 points a game, 35 points a game like they were 3 years ago. Like that's not what they are. I don't know if the league's just adjusted to them. I don't know if they're struggling. I don't know if it's because they're aging. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes isn't that old, but Travis Kelce's up there. and like these other guys are up there. That left tackle, DJ Humphrey started last night, Sunday. DJ Humphrey's the guy that they just went outside, the former Cardinal Pro Bowler, might I say. But he went outside. I mean, he didn't play awful, but he's also coming off a torn ACL. And he's also a little bit older too. So, I mean, the offensive line does not look nearly as good as they need to be. And they're gonna have to be good. They're gonna have to be at their best in the playoffs. Now, is that saying much? Or even at their best, are they, a decent offensive line? I can't tell you for sure. I can't tell you that. And so for this team to actually three-peat and go back, they're gonna have to protect Patrick Mahomes, and they're gonna have to be able to run the ball, and they're gonna have to put up more points than 19. That's what you're gonna have to do, whether it's in Arrowhead or when you're on the road. That's just what you're gonna have to do. And I haven't seen that as of late. Again, you mentioned opportunities. Travis Kelce makes a big catch late in the game to move the chains. Like, they're taking advantage of the opportunities they're given, but it shouldn't be having to come down to those opportunities for them to have to take advantage of.
Yeah, as long as they're not playing their best right now, then they should be okay.
yeah. But if they've peaked, we got a problem. If this team has peaked, we got a problem. And I think that's the biggest thing right now. The defense looked good. The defense looked, a lot better than they have in the past few weeks. Obviously, only allowed 17 points to the Chargers team, who's been pretty good offensively pretty much all year. But the offense has picked up. They have to get better.
And it was a tricky game. Trying to, it's funny because of course, being a Pats guy, we got our GOAT, but just like you don't want to see someone who's had so much success not win the games that they're supposed to win almost.
Yeah.
And it's hard, being a fan of Patty at all. But certain games I've been watching, man, he just has not looked like Patty. And then also, just in sports, you got the big name guys, you got the superheroes. You got the stars, and you got all stars, and you got superstars, and Patty's a superstar.
Oh, 100%.
So watching him week to week, I want to say maybe past 4 weeks, it's been like, dang, what's going on?
Yeah, because I mean, I think this is a career high in interceptions. He just cannot stop turning the ball over. Again, that's going to lose you football games. When you play teams like Baltimore, and when you play teams like Pittsburgh, like when you play those teams, they will take advantage of those. Patrick Mahomes or not, they're going to take advantage of those opportunities.
More possessions, put the rock in the basket.
Exactly. You got they have, and the other thing that they struggle with tremendously this year is the red zone. They have to finish in the red zone. You have to get in the end zone. If you're inside that 20-yard line, you have to get in the red zone, in the end zone.
Yeah, those are what hoopers call layups. Can't
Yeah.
miss layups.
No, especially when you have Patrick Mahomes and Big Red and Travis Kelce, one of, if not the greatest tight end of all time. Get in the end zone. Get in there. Whoa. Hey, okay, listen, Gronk was great. But he didn't have nearly the receiving skills that this guy does.
No, but he was the yards after the catch was crazy for Gronk.
Yeah, they were. It's just, I don't know.
Where's the kid? Key Kelsey is a problem.
No, Kelsey is definitely a problem, but he's starting to look his age. Yeah, he started to look his age as of recently. I guess we have to talk about it. Cardinals played on Sunday, and
didn't pan out the way.
Quite the opposite, actually. Quite the opposite. I thought we were gonna go in there, handle business, and lay a smack down on Seattle. They did quite the opposite. They came in here, they laid it, they gave it to us. They absolutely gave it to us. Now, here's what I think. I think it has a lot more to do with what the Cardinals did wrong than what the Seahawks did right. Now, the Seahawks did a lot right, but I think it's more what the Cardinals did. Kyler Murray was terrible. He threw back-to-back picks on back-to-back passes, and both of those picks led to touchdowns for Seattle. Now, the first drive, I'm thinking like, oh, we're about to destroy Seattle. I mean, the first drive, Kyler Murray is done. They're running the ball. James Conner's running low. And then you get to the 30 and you get the 40 and 41 for a touchdown, Michael Wilson. So I'm thinking, we're about to run over these stupid little bluebirds. You know what I mean? Like we're like these. Like you ever seen a dead pigeon? That's what I thought we were about to do to the Seahawks. And they came back, and the next possession, oh my Lord! I mean, they came back down, and we only gave them 3. We only gave up 3, and I'm like, say no more. We go on a drive like that, and then on the following possession, we only give up 3 points after they drive all the way down the field. Oh, we're good because we're gonna go back down for another touchdown. And then Kyler Murray throws a pick. Here's the thing: you throw a pick. Now, Ernest Jones has been good for them. They traded for him this year. Ernest Jones has been very good. I don't know if Kyler Murray just didn't see him, but Marvin Harrison Jr. was running a deep end. He had 10, 15 yards cutting. Ernest Jones was sitting there. I mean, again, I don't know if Kyler Murray just did not see him. I don't know what it was. So he was going to Marvin Harrison for the dig, and Ernest Jones jumps. Like, he almost threw it right to him. The following possession, they run the ball once. Okay, they don't get anything. Second down, pressure starts coming, and he throws the ball deep, one-on-one Michael Wilson, completely underthrows him, and ball's undercut by Kobe Bryant, and picked off again. On back-to-back passes. Now, again, the rest of the game, he wasn't awful, but those 2 picks lost us the game because they went down and scored touchdowns on both of those turnovers. And the defense didn't help us at all because, like I said, they just gave up 2 touchdowns. Now, is that on the defense? No, it's not. But you have an opportunity because it wasn't a pick 6. So you then have an opportunity to stop the other team's offense from going down and scoring a touchdown after giving up the pick. And the defense was manhandled at the line of scrimmage. Seattle ran all over us without their starting running back in Kenneth Walker. They ran all over us, and we ended up being the dead pigeon at the end of the game. It was rough to watch. It was a rough day. It was a rough day to be a Cardinals fan. I'll tell you that much. It was absolutely a rough day to be a Cardinals fan. And in order for us to even make the playoffs, we have to win out, and Seattle would have to fall off a cliff. They'd have to fall off the Grand Canyon in order for us to make the playoffs, and the Rams would have to do the same thing. Now, luckily, they have a pretty tough schedule left. They still have Minnesota, Green Bay, and the Rams. So they have a pretty tough schedule left.
So I mean, Kyler might be doing the same thing you're doing come playoff time? Dang.
It's starting to look like it a little bit.
Dang.
It's starting to look like it a little bit.
Do you guys get rid of Kyler?
Even if we do, what's the next best option?
It's almost like you got to hit the reset if you do that. And why would you do that? Yeah. Reset, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like we would have to have a top 5 pick in order for us to really reset. Actually take a seat. Okay, Kyler's done. He's not a quarterback. But what's the next step? Because if you don't have a top 5 pick, and just for this year, for instance, and you can't go get Shador or Quinn Ewers or one of these other guys, there's no point. And it's not like he's been good. He's been good for the most part of the year. Just these 3 games have been terrible. I'm just thinking, when I moved here, it was a couple years after when we got Kyler here. And everyone was ecstatic, knowing what Kyler produced in college and stuff like that. Everyone was ecstatic. Now that he's played for 5 years? This is year 6.
This is year 6. So 6 years. And so you basically you've got a resume.
Right.
His resume doesn't read well.
No.
And so knowing that, it's do you sit on this for another 2 years? Or do you let it go? And it's tough though. It's tough because again, you want the people of Arizona to have something to look forward to.
Right.
Because if you hit the button now, obviously, then you're talking 2 to 3 years. Oh, Pat's level.
Just suck.
Yeah,
just bad. Because the thing is with Kyler, 3 weeks ago, if you asked me the same question, he's our franchise guy. He's afraid. Like, he is the guy. He's a top 10 quarterback in the league. If you asked me 3 weeks ago. As of the last, we had Seattle twice, and who's playing very good football, and we had Minnesota, who's one of the best teams in the NFL. Those are three very tough games. But those are the games. If you're a franchise quarterback, those are the games we need you to go win.
We need 2 of those.
At least.
Need 2 of those. Yeah.
And it sucks because the first 10 games of the season, first 10 games of the season, Kyler Murray had 3 interceptions. Over the last 3 games, he's had 5. I don't know if it's just defense is figuring him out. I don't know if it's him crashing and plummeting.
The lights get a little brighter. The games mean a little bit more to everyone. So, and probably watching a little bit more film, figuring out what he likes, what his likes and dislikes, which you think most teams do during the entire season. So you know why he was so comfortable in the earlier parts. But yeah, it sucks, man. It sucks being a truth teller. But yeah, I told you guys. I've been telling my uncle he's like you, big Cards fan. I'm like, don't do it to yourself.
Like, and it's every year.
Week 13, week 14, you start to change up those text messages. It's that's why I go to. It's like when I'm always mixing and matching sports, but when you look at like someone like Jimmy Butler, who doesn't have a ring, but he's had success in the playoffs, it's almost like you don't want to have a lesser version of that. Right. That's where you're at with Kyler. Like, he hasn't even had the amount of playoff success that Jimmy's had within, basketball.
Oh, yeah, not even close.
And so it's like, what do you do? What do you do to keep that momentum as far as, the fandom and stuff like that? How do you – it's tough, man. It's tough. You got to have some success. And
yeah, I think that's really the toughest part is that we've had one playoff game in the last – when was the last time we made the playoffs before 21? 15? We've had one playoff game since 2015. And Kyler got us to that playoff game, but he was awful. Terrible in that playoff game. So, and this was going to be his opportunity to show us, I was the number 1 overall pick for a reason. I was the Heisman Trophy winner for a reason. I went undefeated in high school as a high school quarterback for a reason. And he showed us that through the first 10 weeks. The last 3, he's been really, really bad. It sucks. It sucks. And I mean, obviously, as a Cardinals fan, I hope that he gets better over the last, because we're gonna have to go undefeated. We're gonna have to win 4 in a row. Now, is it possible? It absolutely is. We have the Patriots this week. We have Carolina the following week, and then we have.
You guys lose to the Pats.
Oh, hey, if we lose to the Pats, I may never speak to you again. like this might be done. This whole thing just might be over. Like this, you know what I'm saying? Like this.
Kyler, don't do it, man. Don't let us get taken down.
But I mean, you have to go out on this game. You have to go out on this game. Carolina's looked better over the past few weeks, but you have to go out and beat Carolina, and then you're gonna have to beat LA when they come here. You're gonna have to beat San Francisco when they come here. It absolutely is. And now the only nice thing I would say is 3 out of the last 4 games are here. The only game that's actually on the road is Carolina.
Yeah, but Seattle just came here, right?
Yeah. No, I lied. I'm sorry. Two games are here. 2 games are away. We got LA and LA.
It's not bueno.
No, it's not looking exactly too pretty. Which which sucks, but I mean, it's the life of being a Cardinals fan. That's the kind of social part.
Yeah, that does suck. I'd rather just know that my team's gonna be ass.
See, there you go. See that? Yeah, no positive. Listen, we're supposed to be positive on this show.
We are, but that creates like a positive mindset from the beginning to the end of the season. I've been a happy Pats fan the whole year because my expectations were here. And Drake has actually made me feel more comfortable that the future of my team is bright, honestly.
Well, that was me last year. Last year, I was happy because we were awful, and I knew we were going to be awful. But Kyle looked really good when he came back after from his ACL. He looked really good. This year, I had expectations. Oh, okay, he looked really good last year. So he's going to come in this year, and he's going to look even better, and we might even make a playoff run. We had the opportunity to go make the playoff run. I mean, I guess we still do, but it's very slim.
Gotta be quicker than that.
Gotta be. You know, like it's very slim. So let's move on. Let's move on to some basketball, guys. This is really.
Baloncesto.
I'll tell you what. Obviously, you know Stephon
I'm you know what's crazy?
Mm-hmm.
Is last year he tweeted out following everyone who follows me. So I was like, bam, okay, got to follow back.
Oh, did you?
My man, Steph.
And see, and you know what? He's a
over there damaging everything.
yeah. I don't know what's going on with my microphone. For whatever reason, it just won't steady. But I think I might just go old school. I might just hold this.
Ooh.
You know what I mean? Because I don't know what is going on. You know, we're gonna leave this in the video because, well, one, I don't really feel like editing it out, and two, you guys can see the behind the scenes of what
the freestyle rapping up here, y'all.
exactly. And so, yeah, you know what? Yeah, this week I'm just gonna. I'm gonna have to unscrew that. This is gonna work somehow. But while I fix my microphone, Stephon Murray said some crazy stuff over the weekend. I don't know if this came out over the weekend.
Oh,
Huh?
oh.
That guy in La La Land.
No, not again, Steph.
About that.
Man, I got some of my guy BM. Always going off on Braun. Always, man. He is a big. I think part of it, not to turn the steering wheel before we actually go over that.
No, you're good.
But he's always talking about Braun can't be better than Kobe, can't be better than Mike. And he's mentioned some other dudes too. I get lost sometimes. I'm like, bro, are you just being this supportive of other players because you played within that generation? Because I'm sorry, you're not going to tell me that the game got easier.
Right.
Dudes are making shots that they didn't even think of shooting back then. You know what I'm saying? And so I don't know if you've seen Wemby make the 1 foot 3-pointer. Like, come on, I'm not saying that dudes couldn't make them. They were not shooting them back then. They weren't. But Dirk was the first one that started doing that craziness, and then it became more trendy.
Right, well, especially with the big guys too.
They still were shooting one-legged threes.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And then you just look at the skill set of players. Manute Bol, George Mercian, like those GG Jane, whatever his name is.
Yeah.
Like these players are nowhere near Chet.
Right.
Wemby. Like Porzingis even.
Yeah.
Like there was a couple, you had Sabonis, but come on. Like the skill sets of these players right now are just far beyond the dudes that played once that played.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I don't. Well, okay. Well, I'll put it out there right now. Stephon Marbury said LeBron shouldn't even be in the same breath as Nikola Jokic.
Yeah, so you can't. I feel like you lose credit for your arguments when you say stuff like that.
Mm.
Like, don't get me wrong. I do think there are barriers that need to be put up, and I do think that there needs to be a room full of the top 75 players to have this conversation and for it to make sense to all of us. Because I listen to Gilbert make solid points. But then I listen to Chuck, I listen to Shaq, I listen to all of those guys, and it goes back and forth. But I just recently I was watching Gilbert on the show ask the guys who has the killer mentality, who's the most killer. And of course, the whole argument went to rings. And I'm like, well, if that's the case, why isn't Robert Horry and Bill Russell on this killer list? Like, we only mentioned LeBron, Jordan, and Kobe. And it's because there actually are other elements to the equation, but no one wants to point them out because it's now going to take away from Mike and LeBron and Kobe and give credit to LeBron. And so I don't know how to ever settle the conversation, but I know that you're taking yourself out of the room when you said that LeBron doesn't, like, come on, he has the most points in NBA history. He does have 4 championships. And within those 4 championships, what he did during those playoff runs was incredible. Even some of the times when he actually lost in the championships, his performances was second to none. I just don't know how, like you got to bring me some reasoning for that, for you to say something like that.
I think, and one of the things he said was, I mean, I've pointed this out in terms of the GOAT debate when it comes to LeBron and Jordan, but one of the things he said was, you won't see Kobe shoot 68% from the line. You won't see Jordan shoot 68% from the line. I think that was
those.
Yeah, and which, I mean, again, you have to 68% from the line is unacceptable.
Yeah.
He's got to be better than that.
That's down there. But I mean, Kobe missed the most shots in NBA history. So then, like, we're having this conversation, I would bring that up and I go, what do I do with that then?
Right.
As a person, because you're comparing him with the person who has the most points in NBA history. That speaks to your longevity, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And your actual ability to put the basketball in the hole.
Right.
He's actually done. So how do you give credit for free throws when nobody's defending you? I understand that. Nobody's defending you. But then when somebody is playing defense, he has the most points. And then the other thing for me is preparation. When Kobe came into the league, he wasn't an all-star. He wasn't, definitely wasn't a superstar.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows what he was capable of because he didn't get the time. But I think most people can recognize he wasn't the player that LeBron James was when he came into the NBA.
Right.
Mike wasn't either. Mike was probably a close second. Just saying, 3 of them enter, LeBron's obviously the best. Mike was a close second. Mike grew to be the GOAT, but LeBron coming in with that level of success, maintaining it, because a lot of dudes will be like, oh, I'm him. I don't need to work harder no more. I don't even need to maintain like my strength. And he maintained all of that. He's in year 20. I just don't know how you pick and choose whatever you like about the scenario and then use it as a default, for LeBron. And I'm like, well, if you think there's not 100 contrary conversations about what LeBron is actually succeeded at to what Kobe and Mike didn't, like Mike was losing in the first round, LeBron wasn't.
Right.
And so there's always going to be, you have to have something substantial for me to sit and lean on that. Like, you can't just throw shit in the air and not expect us to be like, oh, that stinks.
Yeah.
Because that stinks. Like, to say that, especially, again, Steph was one of those guys. I remember them comparing, they were saying he was better than Iverson, and I used to laugh at that. You know what I'm saying? Don't get me wrong. To me, very close second. Like, laughing at it is disrespectful.
Right.
But he ain't no AI.
No, absolutely not. I think this is fair to say that is a joke. I mean, and again, this is my opinion. I know, there's the Kareems of the world. I know there's the Wills of the world, the Shaqs of the world. If your 2 top best players of all time to ever play the game of basketball, do not start with Jordan LeBron or LeBron Jordan, I immediately disqualify your case. I'm being so 100%. Like, if the top 2 players, and you're now 3 through whatever, you can talk about it all you want.
Mix it up.
You mix it up, whatever. some people have Kobe at 3. Some people have Kareem at 3. Like 3s, whatever. If your top 2 do not start with LeBron Jordan or Jordan LeBron, I'm not arguing with you.
To that point, if that's what you want to do is have Mike and then Kobe, your third better be fucking Bill Russell.
It's a good point. It's a good point because I mean, in terms of everything, in terms of stats, accolades, rank, like whatever you want, it goes Jordan or LeBron and Jordan. I don't have a problem either way. Now, again, we can debate or whatever it is. Obviously, I know you believe Jordan's the GOAT, but for people who do believe, I don't have a problem with that. We can debate about it. We can talk about it. But if it's not Jordan LeBron or LeBron Jordan, it's no longer a conversation for me because what LeBron has done for the game of basketball. Now, it's funny. I saw something the other day on social media. It was all these people, like all these NBA players, right? You hear, oh, I'm out of my game after Paul George. Oh, I'm out of my game after James Harden. Oh, I'm out of my game after KD. Or my favorite player growing up was, Paul George, KD, Carmelo Anthony. Like you hear those guys. You rarely, okay, I guess it's not maybe as rare, but you never really hear LeBron's name thrown to that. Like Mike. Or Mike. Like that's like it's always like these other smooth, like no, those are very good basketball players. They're very skilled basketball players. But they're not all around basketball players like Mike, like LeBron.
There's a lot of players. I never heard anyone say they spent all their game after Reggie Miller, Dominique Wilkins, Clyde Drexler. There's actually a laundry list of they do tend to go to the 3 and D guys. I do think that's due to the style of basketball that's being played right now. Point guards. There's not too many that are saying I want to play like Steph, who's arguably he's top 5 point guard of all time.
Oh yeah.
And I don't hear anyone say they want to model their game like Steph because you can't.
No, you can't. Like that's because you got chastised for doing it, especially like as a young, like if you're 13, 14 years old playing in, JV basketball in high school, if you're shooting threes from 30 feet, you're getting pulled. And so that's why it's hard to model your game after a guy like that because of how skilled he is and how talented he is, and not everybody is that talented or skilled.
And to me, it's often, again, I'm not trying to take anything away from Kobe. Kobe was a great player. But when you have somebody you can carbon copy, how much skill was that for you?
Right.
You literally watch somebody do what they do, and he just stole their moves, everything. LeBron didn't have anybody to look and take from that. And he created his own moves, his own game. And so I guess you could go either way with that. If you're a fan of Kobe, you go, well, he copied the greatest of all time and was able to succeed while got 5 with him doing that. Yeah, but what about the guys like Kevin Durant who couldn't mimic anybody and still won?
Yeah, Kevin Durant, he didn't mimic his game out there. He was Kevin Durant. Like he was nobody. I've never seen another basketball player like Kevin Durant.
No.
The way that he's able to dribble the ball. Again, people saw he's 7 feet. Yeah, 7-footers 20 years ago could never even think or imagine what KD does. And Dirk was obviously he's one of the greatest shooters, big man shooters of all time. Couldn't handle the ball like KD. Right? Like these guys, like they can't do it all like Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant can handle the ball. He can shoot from 35. He can shoot the mid range. He can get to a spot. Like he has done everything.
He'll dunk on you too.
And you're dunking on him. Like that's. But yeah, for Stephon Marbury to say that. I mean, he also believed that Steph Curry should have won the.
Yeah, I was actually gonna bring that up.
Yeah,
I think I actually retweeted something to him when he said that. That was kind of crazy too. Again, to me it starts to sound like hate.
Yeah. Okay. So here's where I guess not necessarily disagree with you, but when he said that, I didn't really react as crazy because I kind of agree with him. Like now, do I say LeBron was undeserved of it? No, absolutely not. LeBron deserved to win the MVP. But I also think Steph deserved to win the MVP too for what he did. Now he wasn't very good early in the tournament, but if you talk about what he did when it absolutely mattered, the last, the second to last game, the gold medal game. If you think about what he did and how much of an impact he had on that team, I don't know if they win without Steph.
Yeah, I don't think they win without several players. I do think that almost like the rule thing conversation we had the other day about the NFL and quarterback sliding,
Mm-hmm.
it needs to be a defining moment within sports to where they give closer definitions of what these awards are actually for. Like, because the MVP sometimes feels like the playoffs are involved in an MVP trophy, regular season MVP. And for me, I imagine the Olympics are a little bit different, but longevity or consistency has to matter because it's not just the last two games. They had to win earlier games in order for them to be seeded into those spots, right?
Right.
And so I often go to the conversation of people say that Kyrie carried LeBron in certain aspects of the championships. Well, Kyrie never got to those destinations without LeBron. And so Steph doesn't get a chance to make those big plays had LeBron not been as consistent as he was earlier in the Olympics. And that's where I personally would go, well, then you got to give it to LeBron. It'd be like me having you as a teammate.
Right.
We play 7 games total. The first 5, you carried us. The last 2, I may have scored 5 or 10 more points than you and made it look amazing, but you still had 20 and 10.
Right.
And now everyone's basking in my glory like, oh, yeah, Tone deserves it. Well, in my mind, I'd be like, bro's literally been doing this for 5 games, and he played up to par for the last 2. He might not have went, I hit some big shots in the last 2, but he played average 25, 8 and 8 for the last 5 games.
Right. I
can't just overlook that because it's a part of the process.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I think that you're right. There's there's no need to pick one over the other. For my part of watching, and it seemed like hate from Marbury, as there was actually a clip of LeBron going to dap up Melo, and then in that he just walks away, and Stephon Marbury's trying to get dapped,
and Braun walks away from him.
Yeah, this has been an ongoing feud. This is not like something new.
Really?
Stephon Marbury's been saying this about LeBron for years. Yeah, even when Kobe and LeBron actually got friendly, Stephon Marbury didn't like it. But that from that point, like Steph had just congratulated LeBron on something and was like, yeah, that's dope. And then watching that to where when he didn't give him dap, and minutes later, he was talking about how Steph deserved it over LeBron. And I was like, yeah, see that, I don't know if it's hate. I ain't trying to just, I'm not not his dog. I don't speak to him on a daily basis, but it seemed like hate. It did.
I didn't even know that. That's crazy. I didn't even know they had like something going on. Like,
yeah, no, it's been for a while.
Man, I just don't understand. Like, again, like when we have the Jordan and LeBron debates, like I don't ever want to poo-poo on LeBron because LeBron is the greatest player I've watched play, and it's really not even close. Like LeBron James is the greatest basketball player I've watched play. Now, Jordan, I've seen, I've watched games like not live, but I've watched Michael Jordan play basketball. I've watched the games that he did play, and what LeBron's done is out of this world. And so, again, if your argument in terms of best players of all time doesn't start with the names Jordan or LeBron, I'm not conversating with you. Like, you're immediately disqualified from any conversation you are willing to have with me. Like,
I would have to ask, so where do Giannis, Kawhi, KD, like where do these guys rank? If you're telling me LeBron's not close to Mike, like not even close,
right?
Where the hell do these guys rank? Because when you talk about MJ and those guys, Dominique, Clyde, those were the closest guys to him.
Right.
You're not telling me that LeBron's not better than them, are you?
You better not be. You better not be. And that's the thing with stuff. Like, I don't know why you would say things like that. Like, that is blasphemy for him to say something like that.
It's
Like that is
he
insane.
didn't think before he said it. He just said it.
And that's the problem of we just don't think before we speak. You know what I mean? Like we just don't think before we speak. And
that's what hate will do that.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? Like if you did really dislike, talking about the Miami Heat after we lost to them, I might have said some just blatant hate, disrespect type stuff because that's how I felt. After you get some time to think about it and you man up and you mature, you're like, man, it was just a game. They played better than we did.
I'll say the day after we lost to Luka, do not let him see me. Do not let me see him. Oh my gosh. And get all the security you could possibly get if I see Luka Doncic. If I saw now, that's my guy now. I'm rooting for him now. He's nice, but that's the thing with him. It's like and like you said, that's what he'll do to you. And so for him to go out and say something like that and be as confident as he was saying it, it absolutely amazes me. Like how somebody could say something like that and then still just have the integrity or the confidence to say what they said.
No, it hurt my feelings to a certain extent because especially from my generation, we looked up to ballers like Steph.
Yeah.
Iverson, you know what I'm saying? That group of guys,
those
KG. Yeah, those dudes. And Steph was that dude for New York, prominent. His nephew, Telfair, Sebastian Telfair.
Sebastian Telfair. Yeah, he was nice for a little bit.
Yeah, like those guys, they mean something, especially when you're from one of those neighborhoods back in Coney Island. And yeah, when you hit, like some people take those sound bites and they actually, make that how they live. And they're like, oh, well, Braun ain't that good. And you're goofy if you really believe that.
Man, it's crazy to think that some people actually look at LeBron James and they're like, yeah,
to me, it got to be hate.
Like, it has to be. It has to be. I mean, for what he's been able to do for as long as he's been able to do it, it's absolutely insane. It is absolutely insane.
But people do it in all things. People talk about Wayne, Jay-Z. You know what I'm saying? You're a fan of what you're a fan of. If I'm not a fan of, I'm really not that big a fan of NBA YoungBoy. I don't try to judge whether he's good or not good. I just say that's not what I listen to.
And that's the problem. And that's not but that's the problem with Steph is because I don't know how to put this, but how to compare it to that situation because you're not going to tell you're not going to tell me, oh, he's terrible because you never listen. You don't really listen to him. How are you going to tell me he's terrible if you don't listen to him? Steph, he's obviously watched LeBron play. He's played against LeBron James. That's the problem I don't understand. It's not like he has never watched LeBron play and he's just calling him terrible. Or not terrible, but he's not putting him in the same breath as Michael Jordan. Like he's played against and played with LeBron.
Even Kobe was nice, but he played against LeBron. And I'm like, so how you put Kobe next to Mike, but you just separating Mike and LeBron?
It doesn't make any sense. Like, you know how I feel. Like Kobe is a top 10 player, but he's like 7, 8, 9 in my top 10.
Definitely not 7, 8, 9 for me, but I understand.
But he's like 7, 8, 9. And again, I don't understand how people do that. Like I understand the comparison.
It's rings. Rings is the predominant,
but
it's the most dominant subject in that conversation is rings.
Is the rings, yeah.
Because to me, if you were to ask somebody who's better, Kobe Bryant or Kevin Durant, that's a tough conversation.
I think so too.
Very tough conversation. But everyone who picks Kobe is picking Kobe because of rings.
That's the only reason. And we've also had this conversation before. In my opinion, the most skilled basketball player to ever touch a basketball is Kevin Durant.
Yeah, I'm going Kyrie, but I understand.
Right behind him, I got Kyrie. But we will never say those are the best basketball players of all time because of the rings, because of the accolades that guys like Jordan, LeBron, Kobe, Tim Duncan, Kareem, because of those accolades that those guys have. But in terms of rolling the ball out, and I'm picking up first and pick up, I'm taking either Kyrie or Kevin Durant.
It's always interesting. I know we're dragging this conversation on, but if we got me, you, Maud, MJ, Jesse brother, and Sunni in the gym,
right?
And we go, who's the best basketball player in this gym? None of us is going to start to list out what we've actually done in the sport.
You're going to talk about specifically skill. Yeah.
Why is it that when we do that with sports? Because it's a team game.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like if we were to compare Tom Brady and Patty, it's all based off solely skill. Everyone knows who we're picking.
It's Patty, yeah.
But we're only basing this off of accolades when we know that Tom Brady's defense, Tom Brady's coach, in certain instances, helped him win those rings.
100%.
Don't get me wrong. I do think Tom Brady has the ability to galvanize. He can galvanize the troops. That's one of his skill sets, and it's hard to measure that skill set because you can't. There's no eye test for that. But when it just comes to specific skill sets that we can see, like you're saying with KD, dribbling, shooting, defending, how do you argue that there's a better player because he's 7 foot and can literally do pretty much everything that Kobe could do?
Right. And dare I say even better, because again, I
more
think
efficiently.
Yeah, and better and more efficiently. Because I mean, I think Kevin Durant is a better shooter, 3-point shooter, mid-range shooter, whatever it is, than Kobe Bryant. But Kobe, Kobe Bryant is so praised for his mentality, the Mamba mentality.
And that's the other weirdest part of it. It's the Jordan mentality.
Yeah.
I hate when people call it, and James because I'm old, but I'm like, that doesn't even make any sense. Someone who mimics someone else's work ethic and you're calling it, you just name it your
no.
It's not the Mamba mentality. It's literally the
Jordan
Mike mentality.
Yeah. So I obviously people give him a lot of credit for, the Mamba mentality, but I think obviously Kobe Bryant was talented, but I think he worked hard. He worked harder than he ever was talented. In terms of the levels, like I don't know how to put this. The amount of work he put in will always surmount the amount of talent he had, and that's why he was so great. It's because he worked hard at his craft and he obviously succeeded.
Kenyon Martin, I think it was Kenyon Martin. Said like Michael Jordan was a Bugatti, Kobe was a Honda Accord body, but on the inside
he's got
built like a
Bugatti,
Ferrari
engine, Ferrari Bugatti engine. I can absolutely agree with that. I can definitely agree with that. I can get behind that for sure. But that was a good convo. I really like that conversation. This is another interesting conversation.
Shout out Steph.
Yes, Steph is on. He's on one. I don't know. Whatever he's on, keep me away from it because I don't want any part of what he's taking. Nikola Jokic came out the other day and said they've been on a little bit of a lull streak, maybe for lack of a better term. He scored 56 points against quite possibly the worst team in the league, and they lost. They lost to the Cavaliers, obviously, who's a very good team. Lost to the Clippers. They've lost 3 out of their last 5. And he was asked about the effort that his team has put in. And I'm paraphrasing, but what he had mentioned was, well, where I come from, so if you're not putting in the effort that you should supposed to be putting in, you'll see that pay drop a little bit every time. And now once you start putting that effort back in, then you'll start getting your full paychecks again.
Damn, that should be doing that in America.
Exactly. Now, will that happen? Obviously not.
Hell no.
Obviously, that these contracts are in place for a reason. But excuse me. These contracts are in place for a reason. But what do you think of that? Like, obviously now the Nuggets are not the same team that they were last year or even the year before. But they have the best player in the world. And who did just happen to say that. What do you think about what Nikola Jokic said? Do you think that could hurt the team in terms of the chemistry? Do you think something needs to happen internally with that team after he said something like this? And do you agree with what he said?
I do agree. With what he said. Something will happen within that locker room. I don't think so. I think he's a solid leader. I think he's had enough communication with everybody on the team to where they pretty much understand what he's speaking to. I think that organization is one of those organizations within the league that preaches accountability. And that's why he's this open and vocal about it, is that I'd imagine they've already had locker room chats.
Oh, for sure.
And so at some point you got to do something outside of the box to try to catch everyone and put everyone on notice. And so that's probably where he's at right now. I also think he's reached a level of maturity and leadership in his leadership that he's got to do other things different. He's got to galvanize his troops. And they, like you said, that team is different than it once was. And I think I stated in one of our earlier podcasts that I think they'll do okay. They just don't have the defensive depth to withstand, a 82 game season and then a playoff series against certain teams. But I think, like, to me, they're like the Lakers. They're right where they belong. They just don't have enough perimeter defense. Like, people, I mean, they didn't have AG for the past almost 10 games.
Yeah, he was out for a few weeks.
And so that's heavy defense for you. They had KCP. That was heavy defense for them. And they had Bruce Bowen, heavy defense for them. Like, these are some of the main players that helped them win championships that are not there.
And that's the thing. Like, when you said, when they won the championship, they had those guys. They had the KCP, the Bruces, the AGs. You lost all three of them, but AG was hurt. And bro, what's his last name? Bruce. He's in Toronto. Is it?
Oh no, Brown.
Brown, exactly. Bruce Brown.
Brucey B.
And
he's from Massachusetts.
Is he?
Mm-hmm. He's from Dorchester.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
He's making quite a bit. Yeah.
10, 15 minutes away from where I grew up.
That's crazy. I did not know that. But yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. Like, you're losing all these guys. I don't know if because Denver just doesn't want to pay them. Because, I mean, you lost KCP and you lost Bruce Brown. Your two best perimeter defenders. Because we all know Jamal Murray's not guarding a cone on the perimeter. Like, he's not a very good defender. And now Christian Brown has been good. I like the way Christian Brown has played. But, like, when it comes to things like that, Christian Brown is, I think, on a championship team, he's coming off the bench, just like he did when they won the championship. And he's starting now. He's been thrown into that starting lineup. Now, you have Russell Westbrook, who's been okay. He's had his moments, but he's Russell Westbrook at the end of the day. He's going to be inefficient. He's going to get you a triple-double or two. Like, he's Russell Westbrook. He's 30-something-year-old Russell Westbrook. That's just what the case is. That team is not nearly as deep as it once was. You can have the best player in the world, but if you don't have pieces to build around him, you're not going to be very successful. Now, obviously, they're still going to make the playoffs because Jokic is just that good, that talented to go and carry them to the playoffs. How far are you going to make it in the playoffs? That's a different question. Because, like you said, do you have the defensive guard depth to go out and guard the SGAs, the Anthony Edwards, the Devin Bookers, Austin Reeves or LeBron's? Do you have the guard depth to go guard those guys? And I right now I would say no, unless they make some moves at the deadline. I would say no. That's just what it is. Because this team, I mean, when you look at them, they have, they beat the Hawks, they destroyed the Hawks actually. They lost to the Wizards, they lost to the Cavs, they beat the Warriors, lost to the Clippers, they beat the Jazz, who they should be, and they allowed 145 points to the Knicks. 145.
Yeah.
In what case ever will that ever be acceptable?
No, I mean, a couple of Knicks players had they were well-rounded that game.
OG, I think, had 40 in that game.
Yeah.
OG Anunoby. Yeah.
So yeah, it was just a bad matchup for the Nuggets. But I think that part of it was some of these role players' mild success during the playoffs, because then you kind of game plan for what they're gonna cost you. But then, like, they decided to keep Peyton Watson. I do like Christian Brown. But I think Bruce was a better fit.
I think so too. I agree. I think he just fit the scheme well. I thought he fit the system well as the locker room. And so obviously he's been banged up ever since he left. He went to Indiana. He was okay. He went to Toronto.
He needs to find his way to Boston.
For what?
So he can get a ring.
See, there you go. What Boston need him for?
We don't really need him. We just it'd be a
He need to
hometown
find his
thing.
way to Phoenix is what he needs.
I
I don't think we can pay him. No, I don't think you guys can pay
so
him.
he definitely can't pay him. We
Yeah.
definitely don't got the money.
But yeah, with the Nuggets, I don't think they're gonna make a deep run in the playoffs just because of the lack of depth that they have.
Yeah, and I also think part of that's going to be their health. Like when you don't have guys that you can lean on when other guys are out, it becomes even more of a catastrophe.
Yeah,
Because
if Jokic goes out,
it's over.
That's a lot of
It's over for them. Shoot, I even think if Jamal Murray gets hurt, like he hasn't been as consistent as they would like, or as they'll need in the playoffs. But 18 and 7 is what they need that still.
Right.
If he goes down, I don't know who steps in for that. Even if Aaron Gordon gets hurt again come playoff time, I don't know what they do.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough for the Nuggets because of the lack of depth they have. I mean, Jamal Murray he's been okay this year. I mean, he hasn't looked like the Jamal Murray they need him to be. But this year he has, like you said, 18 or about 18, 6 assists, 4 rebounds on 42% from the field and 33% from 3. It's not going to cut it.
Not for what people think, the expectations that have been placed on him.
Yeah.
He won a championship. He balled out in the playoffs. People are looking at you. I hate to be bringing up your boy, but it's essentially the same thing that I've been talking about. D-Book is like people are looking for you to take that next step. In order for you to enter that realm of superstar, elite player, you got to take another, not even a big step, but you got to continue to progress in a direction that helps your team. And he hasn't done that.
No,
he hasn't done it. And like the good thing for Devin Booker is that he's got 2 other guys that can take some of that load off of when he's in the slump.
Right.
Jamal Murray's only got Jokic, and Jokic has already been hooping. So I don't know.
like all the attention is going to Jokic. Obviously, there's only so many guys that can actually go guard Jokic, but like he's gonna have to step up. Michael Porter Jr. is gonna have to step up. Like these are the guys that they got paid for a reason, and so they're big 3, I guess, and MPJ, Jamal Murray, and Jokic. They're gonna have to come along.
So big 3 is what I would call it. That's not a big 3.
Nasty work. So, I mean, I hope
Jokic's
that
been balling though, man. Scary.
Jokic he's a ridiculous basketball player. He's a ridiculous basketball player. To watch him play, and it's wild. But one thing did happen over the weekend. I know you're not like the biggest. I know you're not the biggest. What's the word? Baseball fan. But
It's true.
Juan Soto signed a 15-year, $750 million deal with the New York Mets.
Yeah, Hendricks is playing baseball. For sure.
Yeah.
What? 15? Here's the thing with that is how old is this kid?
Juan Soto is 26, 27.
So there's no way he's living out that deal.
Well, here's the thing. So with his contract is a little different.
Because 15 years
26.
puts him at 41 years old.
I put him at 41. Here's the thing. Baseball contract is a little different. So Juan Soto, after 5 years, has an opt-out of his contract. So after the 5th year of his deal, he could opt out and become a free agent once again. If he does not do that, then he would go. That contract would go into year 41 of his life. But you'd be going to age 41. And now Juan Soto is one of the best hitters I've ever seen play the sport of baseball. He is fantastic. He's gotten so much better defensively. Juan Soto is a top 5 player in the Major League Baseball.
Yeah, I gotta do some more research on how the baseball contracts work. That is ridiculous. That's
Yeah.
a lot of money, man.
$750 million.
So now I'm like, how much money is on their cap? How much do they have left to disperse throughout the entire team? I know that they're breaking that 700 and whatever 50 million up through 15 years, but
Right. See, here's the thing about baseball, and I hate it. I despise it. There's no salary cap.
oh yeah, that's why the Yankees have the most chips. Yeah, I forgot about that part.
There is no limit amount of money.
The crazy thing is the Red Sox are still cheap.
Oh, actually, the Red Sox were one of the teams that he was considering.
Yeah, I know. I seen that offer. I was like, there's no way we'll do that.
No.
The Red Sox are too cheap.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't even want to keep Manny Ramirez. Like
Manny Ramirez, Mookie Betts.
yeah,
Like,
Mookie was. Come on, man. There was no reason why we should have let Mookie go.
No, and he's also one of the top 5 best players in baseball.
Yeah,
And it's so. But what I did want to ask, obviously, I could talk about baseball all day. I know you're not the biggest baseball fan, but what is the worst contract? Like somebody who's in terms of, so you gave this guy money, you gave this guy all this money, and just he was terrible after he got it. What is the worst contract that you've ever seen?
and just in baseball,
in sports,
on sports,
in sports.
period, sports period.
Mm-hmm.
Worst contract. That's a tough one.
I got a few. And a lot of them actually, a few of them actually come from baseball. But
Yeah, because what was the dude's name who's still getting paid?
Bobby Bonilla.
Yeah, Bobby.
Bobby Bonilla.
So, by the Mets, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
He gets 1 year he gets
crazy.
a mil every year on his birthday.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So I definitely put that in there. I don't understand
Yeah.
why he's making money and not even playing. Luau Dang, that contract was pretty nasty. Shoot, there was somebody else's that was like close to that situation. I want to say they was on the Lakers and went somewhere else, and it was a bad one.
I know he didn't accept it, but I know one that was passed up, Dennis Schroeder.
Oh yeah, that was ridiculous. Like
Yeah.
it's kind of like the flip of that conversation. Yeah, having a bad situation for a contract. Yeah.
In which he was offered.
He's probably
money.
still having nightmares
Oh, for sure.
because I don't think he hasn't gotten a big deal.
Not even close. Not even close. Yeah,
because he was getting like 100 and something, right? It was like 100 and something million
I think
dollars.
it was like 4 years, 120.
And now he's getting like $37 million for like 3 years.
Yeah, nasty work. Nasty work.
You're talking about life changing.
Yeah,
I mean, sure, you make $2 million a year. That's life changing. You add
18, 19 of that.
100, yeah, 100 to that.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think the worst. Now he was decent over the stretch, but the worst contract I've ever seen, the 2 worst contracts I've ever seen. Wow. Well, surprising. Well, I guess not surprisingly, both come from the same team. Same team gave these 2 guys like the awful contracts. The first one is Albert Pujols.
I don't remember that.
Albert Pujols. I remember the day I found out too. Obviously, growing up, I've always been a sports nerd, so I've always found out the news when it comes out. Albert Pujols signed a deal 10 years after he left the St. Louis Cardinals. He went to the Los Angeles Angels. They gave him 10 years, $250 million. That now, today, that's chump change to what these guys are making now. But that was one of the worst contracts. He was awful. Like I guess he had his moments, but he was
paid
not
for
good.
his name.
Yeah, exactly. Albert Pujols is one of the greatest hitters I've ever seen play. But he was older.
Yeah, I remember he was bad.
He was not good in LA. The other one is Anthony Rendon.
Not familiar.
Anthony Rendon was a third baseman. He won the World Series with the Nationals in 2019. Ironically enough, the year after Bryce Harper left the Nationals. Again, I'm not sure if you're familiar with that name, but
Bryce
yeah.
Harper.
But the year after Bryce Harper left, they went and won the championship, the World Series championship. Anthony Rendon was fantastic. Defensively, he was between him and Nolan Arenado, he was the best third baseman in the league. Offensively, he power hitter. He hit home runs. He drove in runs. He was a cleanup hitter. Who's gonna? That's that guy. He's a power hitter. He went to LA. Can stay healthy. Couldn't hit a beach ball if it was thrown to him. And if he even thought about diving on the floor, he'd be out for 3 weeks. And they're still paying him that money. He has been absolutely terrible. He's been terrible. And so those are a few of the worst contracts I've ever seen. David Johnson, the running back for the Cardinals a few years ago. Now he's one of my favorite Cardinals of all time. But that was an awful contract because he was terrible after that 1 year he had. David Johnson is another one. Sam Bradford. Sam Bradford when he left the Rams was pretty bad. I'm starting to think this Kirk Cousins one is really bad in Atlanta. I'm really starting to think the money they gave him is not turning out very well. He had his last 3 games, he has 0 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. Yeah. But yeah, Juan Soto got that contract and was sitting, and it's sitting pretty high. It's sitting pretty. They backed up about 17 Brinks trucks for him.
That's the most an athlete has ever signed for
Ever. Baseball, soccer, football, basketball. That is the most amount of money that any athlete has ever signed for.
Yeah, the fact that that's an astronomical amount of money.
Yeah, like what do you even do with that amount of money?
Yeah, how do you fathom? How do you understand how much money you just signed for?
Like that
Go
money is
buy
good
an
for 10 generations, at least. Like it's insane.
You would have to do some major kerfluffling up to mess up that type of money.
All right, so we'll finish off with this. Jimmy Butler was in the news this morning. Jimmy,
shut up, my man D-Lo.
Yeah, you know, I'm kind of when he comes back on, we'll ask him what he thinks. But
Don't do that.
you've kind of been hinting at it all year.
I have.
The Heat are listening to offers for Jimmy Butler. Now, the teams that reportedly, he said that he would play for and would get traded to, would accept a trade to the Dallas Mavericks, the Houston Rockets, and the Golden State Warriors. In your opinion, Mr. Tone, where would Jimmy Butler fit the best if Miami were to trade him?
Where would he fit the best?
Yeah. Into not just those 3 teams, but in the whole
league.
Yeah. You're not allowed to say Boston.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't do that. I honestly would say Dallas. I would say Dallas. He's a player that doesn't need the basketball in order to make a stamp on the game. He has the ability to play make. I think the only downfall would be the conversation, because there are times when Jimmy's the playmaker. He's not just really going to go sit in the corner.
Right.
And so how does that work fourth quarter, having Kyrie, Luka, and Jimmy when Jimmy's a playmaker? This tough. Honestly, I think he should go back to Minnesota. I think that if you add Jimmy Butler to that Minnesota team, there's championship contention. They have enough defenders. I don't know. Here's what they would have to give up. That's the case, is what they would have to give up. But yeah, they have enough perimeter and paint defense that if Jimmy were to go back there, they would be tough. They'd be like thinking about Dallas. They still don't have enough perimeter defense. Jimmy would be the one that would change part of that equation. But then,
I mean, and that's the thing. Like with Dallas, if Jimmy were to go there,
he'd have to play the 4.
He'd have to because the starting line move: Kyrie, Luka, Jimmy, Clay, and Gafford. That'd be tough. Now you'd have 2 decent perimeter defenders in Clay and Jimmy. Both of them are old,
but where are you gonna?
Both of them are injury prone.
Where are you gonna hide them? That's be meaning Clay and and Luca, and I had them on power forwards.
Like that's tough because they're super undersized. They're super undersized. I think at that point you'd have to bring Clay off the bench.
And that's why I'm like, I want to say Dallas, but I still don't think that works lineup wise. I actually wanted to say the Warriors as well. But again, lineup wise, one, they'd have to give up somebody, either Wiggins,
I think
Kuminga.
Kuminga would be out of there.
They'd probably have to give up some two or three pieces for Jimmy.
Yeah.
And yeah, now my thing with that is Jimmy and Draymond play alike. I mean, of course, Jimmy can get you more buckets than Draymond, but they're both playmaking, strong nodes, tough, like off the ball basketball players.
Right.
Now, I think that's dope because they could both, screen and roll to one another, It's just, yeah. I would honestly go with the Timberwolves, though. Like, I feel like looking at all the teams from the East and West, if somehow they were to get Jimmy there without losing a big name, they would have the largest room for growth.
So for me, I have two teams. Ironically, these two teams that I'm going to say are at the top of their respective conferences. I think if you were to put Jimmy in Cleveland, if you were to put Jimmy in Cleveland, first of all, they need a wing. They need a wing guy. Cleveland does. I mean, Okoro is good, but he's not obviously Jimmy Butler. Like you said, Jimmy Butler doesn't need the ball to be effective. The question is how much you're going to give up for him. You're at least going to have to give up 3 or 4 first-round picks, at the very least. And then you'd probably have to give up Okoro, and then you'd have to give up Sam Merrill maybe, and then you'd have to give up like
Jerome too.
Ty Jerome. Like you'd have to give up 3 or 4 players along with 3 or 4 first-round picks. So if you give up those guys, you don't have much of a bench anymore. But you're going to have to rely on the guys that you have, the big 4 in Mobley, Butler, Garland, and Mitchell in order for them to produce, right? And then the other one is Oklahoma City. If you put Jimmy Butler in Oklahoma City, once again, you're gonna have to give up. You're gonna have to give up some people. So again, 3 or 4 first-round picks. You're gonna have to give up.
They have more players though.
They do. They have a lot of pieces to give. Like you'd have to give
Wiggins,
up Jalen Williams, not J Dub, but the other one.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You got him. You got Wiggins.
Isaiah Joe.
Yeah, you got players that they expendable, I guess is what you would call them.
Yeah, and they also have a ton of picks.
I actually think your second choice is the one that could be better than what I selected. I don't like Cleveland because it's a similar problem with Dallas. It's not enough perimeter defense. Yeah. So it's just they wouldn't be changed. I do think, of course, Jimmy Butler is better than Isaac Okoro. I just don't think if you don't get over the hump this year, then that's a waste.
Right.
So waste because next year
Jimmy's gonna be older. Donovan Mitchell. I mean, you just signed both of those guys, Donovan Mitchell and Garland.
And you're trying to actually grow Evan Mobley.
Right.
And so adding Jimmy puts pressure on Evan to, he doesn't get the 14 to 16 touches. Now he gets 10. And he's got to be hella efficient because Jimmy's going to complain if you know. Really.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
No, for sure.
And I like your OKC one more than the one in my Timberwolves one. When you look at the depth, you look at the pieces that they would probably have to give up to get Jimmy.
And they'd still be relatively deep.
They would still have depth because, they got pieces on pieces on pieces over there. That'd be dangerous. That's actually scary.
They're favored to, at least win the West right now. I'm not so sure they wouldn't be favored to win the NBA championship.
Yeah. I personally think that they should stick with what they have because the value that they'll have next year, frightening.
I disagree. Here's the only reason why. They're young guys. they're like everybody. Oklahoma City has a bunch of young guys. They have the SGAs and the Jalen Williams, both Jalen Williams. They have Isaiah Joe, Chet. Like they have young guys. These guys are gonna have to get paid. Unlike basketball, there's a salary cap, so you can't just pay these guys and just keep them all as much as you want. So you're gonna have so eventually you're gonna have to pay them. The biggest thing with me, J-Dub is gonna get $200 million. SGA is gonna get, if he hasn't already signed.
I think he is on the contract.
Is he on the contract?
Yeah, he's like behind Tatum and Brown for one of those type of contracts.
Yeah. So he's on a 4-year
200.
294 or 293.
Yeah, so I said he's blessed. He's got one of those Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum 300. My apologies, 300 M's.
Yeah, huge money. So he's on that contract. Jalen Williams is going to get $200 million.
Yeah,
Chet is going to get 250, 260.
Yeah.
Like are you going to be able to pay all these guys? I don't know how long the championship window is.
I think they have until next year at least. Like most of those guys that we were naming are on rookie contracts.
Right.
So they have another year, I believe. And that's why I think like if they make another conference finals this year, all those dudes, their value has gone up. And so now you have an abundance of trades or first and second round picks, and you've got players who have already had the experience of Western Conference champion, Western Conference finals. So man, that OKC team is definitely dangerous when they get Chet back.
Dangerous. Now, Jalen Williams after the season is eligible for the contract extension.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be tough though.
That's the part
because he's balling right now.
Yeah,
too.
he is.
He's balling.
He's playing very good basketball, and so if you put him with Chet, who I believe after the following season, is up for contract extension, and I'm sure they're gonna want to pay him. And so, like I said, I just don't know. I don't know how long this contract or this championship window is.
And they have his name too, right?
Caruso and Caruso.
That's what I'm like. They've got trade value, man. They could go after Jimmy right now.
I think they could, and I think that put them over the top. They're already at the top of the West in terms of the Celtics.
Yeah, I would say they would definitely be competing with us.
Yeah.
If not, have a better starting lineup.
I mean, if you put SGA, Jalen Williams, Jimmy Butler, I guess the 4 spot is interchangeable, and Chet Holmgren. I mean,
crazy thing is because hasn't J-Dub been playing a 3/4?
Oh, that's right. So so Caruso, SGA, Jimmy Butler, Jalen Williams, Chet Holmgren. That's a tough starting 5.
Yeah,
and I think that gives you enough star power in the playoffs.
I would say I feel like
they
would beat everybody in the West. That's really close to us.
Yeah,
that's really, really, if not better. I feel like Tatum is better than J-Dub. I feel like JB and JB kind of X each other out.
Yeah.
Butler and Brown, and then SGA, of course, is better. But then whoever's not guarding him is better than the other 2.
Yeah, that's the problem. Like, I mean, with them, I think everybody else cancels. Like, Chet and Porzingis kind of cancel each other. I mean, I would say Chet is better than Porzingis, but I think they still.
You've got youthfulness, athleticism, but then you've got experience
in shooting.
Yeah.
Like so, and then Caruso and Derek White, I think are going to cancel each other out.
Yeah.
Now SGA and Tatum, I guess you can go back and forth between. Right now, I think I'd probably take Tatum over SGA, but they're gonna be going at it, and like you said, Jimmy Butler and Jaylen Brown will cancel each other out, and so now it's up to Drew Holiday.
Yeah. So for Drew's Drew will be judged on defense that series.
Yeah. If
Derek White will have to be the 3rd/4th best scorer on the Celtics.
Yeah,
and the same way where we would judge Caruso with how he guards Derek White, likely, we're going to judge Drew Holiday on how he guards SGA.
Because SGA is an MVP candidate. and he's fantastic.
That will be his job, not to score. You know, Drew, we don't need 15, 20 from you. This whole series.
Yeah, just sit down. Sit down in the chair.
Slow SG. Yeah, we can't let SG can't have 40.
Yeah, if I don't care how many points you score. As long as SGA doesn't have 40, we'll be fine.
Yeah,
but that's the thing.
That's
That's why
conversation, man. That's gonna be touchy subject for a lot of teams in the next upcoming weeks.
Oh, for sure.
If Jimmy makes it to a place like that, the league is scared, man.
That's trouble. That's trouble. Nah, and you're not gonna have to pay Jimmy for. I mean, I don't know when he got his contract renewed, but I mean, he's older. Of course, he's an older guy. It's tough to actually. Let me see. Jimmy Butler. So he has a player option after next year. So you'd have another season with Jimmy Butler. Now you'd be paying him $52 million, but it'd be the last season you have to pay him.
And then they get to utilize some picks.
Exactly.
So they'll still have depth.
And I think
getting that off the books, that's crazy.
Yeah. And again, I think that give you enough star power to get past the Lucas and Kyries of the world, to get past the Anthony Edwards and Julius Randles of the world, to get past the Devin Booker and KDs of the world. Like that, I think.
Damn, you ain't gonna mention Bradley Beal. It's crazy.
Absolutely not. Not even a second thought. He's a great guy, nice guy. He's fantastic. He's a very good man. But not that one. But that's gonna close out the show. Hope you all enjoyed. That was a pretty good one. That was a lot of sadness with the Cardinals.
A lot of sadness.
Yeah,
My Celtics lost last game. We're gonna get it back on track. I think we play tomorrow. No, actually, we play 2 days from now.
Are you guys in the tournament?
Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha.
My bad.
We play for real trophies around here.
Forgot. My bad.
We play for big trophies. Some little Laker trophies.
If you count the in-season tournament, you and the Lakers are equal in terms of.
Well, we don't count those.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
We are real.
I thought I'd point that out.
Historical team. Real historical team.
I thought I was looking forward to playing or watching some Celtic basketball in the tournament.
No,
so that was a little disappointing.
Wow, shame on you. How your Knicks doing?
Huh?
How your Knicks?
Oh, they in the tournament. Oh, it got quiet, didn't it? Oh, it got quiet.
Just wonder how they doing.
Woo! They gonna win tonight? Oh, I think we. No, not tonight. Tomorrow we gonna beat the Hawks. Oh, we gonna beat the Hawks. We gonna give it to
the Hawks. Been rolling, boy.
Yeah, they have. We gonna give it to the Hawks.
No, the funny thing is, I definitely think all 4 games should be entertaining.
They should be. I'm looking forward to them. So,
although the Magic, did they get Paulo back?
Nope,
he's
not
out.
Yet.
Oh yeah. Nah, I got the Bucks. This is over.
Yeah, no.
Franz is out. Gary Harris is out. Jonathan Isaac game time decision, and Paulo out. Paulo returned on the 19th. Yeah, it's over.
It's all up to Jalen Suggs and Mo Wagner.
It's all up to Giannis. Giannis, you want to flop? If not, game over.
Yeah, that's about it. But hope you all enjoyed. We'll react to those games a little later in the week. It's probably outro, huh?
Yeah, shout out our consistent friends and family and others who are watching. Shout out y'all. Appreciate y'all.
Always. Appreciate everybody for watching, man. This is a podcast that's growing each and every day. And be on the lookout for some more basketball content on the other channel.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's hold on. Let me actually make sure my camera's on. Be on the lookout for more basketball coming up this week. Maybe even this weekend.
Down.
It's
going down.
Maybe even this weekend.
It's going down.
And I still owe Tone that ass whooping in 1-on-1.
Y'all know what's up.
So I know I keep forgetting there's a bunch of cameras in here, but yeah. More basketball content coming soon. More funny content coming soon as well. So be on the lookout for that. But as always, don't forget, you are amazing. You are beautiful. You matter. If nobody else is going to tell you, I love you. I'm proud of you. And always remember, it is nice to be important. It is much, much nicer, much more important to be nice. We're out. We'll see you guys later this week.
Holla.